Young adults, more of them, in fact, kids that are 23 years old may not even have a chance once they get out of college or even out of school, even if they're not going to school, because they're getting all these credit card offers all the time, and they may watch mom and dad flip that plastic everywhere. And they don't know if it's a debit card or credit card or whatever. All they do is they see mom pull that credit card out of their pocket.
And when you're 18, 21, 23, you're just invincible. You don't think about long term. You don't think about retirement. You're thinking about that here and now and that instant gratification. So everything's free when you use your credit card.
So we wanted to bring in our financial strategist and one of the experts, Clark Hodges, to discuss this. Clark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. How y'all doing today?
Great. How are you? Hey, Clark.
So kids that are coming out of college, Clark, they're dealing with credit cards, and many of them are maxed out even before they take their first job. How big a problem is this in America?
Well, it's a big problem. You add to it the student loan debt. It's a giant problem because the student loan debt is basically a mortgage that they're going to pay off over 25 years. And you add to it credit card debt. And I don't know many college students that don't graduate with college debt. I know I did. And it's kind of a trap because I don't think they teach you things like that in high school and college about interest and how much something actually really costs. And that's the key. When you buy something on a credit card, what is it really going to cost you?
Yeah, all of a sudden you're paying for Christmas from five years ago, and you're sitting there paying 22%. We can't even get a bank. Clark, if we go to a bank and open up a savings account, what kind of interest rate can we expect?
Less than 1%.
Okay. And if we go charge on a credit card, what kind of interest rate will we mainly potentially pay?
Anywhere from 14 to 30%.
Ooh. Okay, so they give us one or less than one, and they take 17, I think the average credit card interest rate I saw on a retail credit card, that's where you at a department store, 23%.
Yep.
And so think about that. That's kind of a cool business. No wonder banks make so much money. I'll give you one and you give me 23. That's like a little kid. That's like your son sitting there going, you give me one Skittle, I'll give you 23.
Right. It makes sense if you're a 5-year-old.
Yeah, but that's what's happening with it out there. And so many times, Clark, with the kids, with everybody out there, they got a credit card, and what they're doing is they're charging dinner on it, and then they're paying 20% interest on their dinner.
Right. You talk about doing the math. There was an equation in the article that I read about it today that said if you spend $2,000 on a credit card, and your interest rate is 15%, and you go to pay back the minimum, only the minimum every month, it'll actually take you 10 years to pay it off, and you'll pay $1,300 in interest. So if you went out and spent $2,000 on, let's say, going to college clothes or something, it really costs you $3,300, and that's the way people need to look at it. My dad was real fond of this saying, and he said, a person with a lot of debt is like a person with a weak immune system. Any disease that comes along, you're going to get it. And when we go through these financial recessions and things like that happen, because you know they will, and you have a lot of personal debt, it could bankrupt you.
So when kids graduate from college, this is Susie Clark, when kids graduate from college, I've got a son that's going to be graduating here this year, and, they're accustomed to having their rent paid for, whether it's a dorm or their parents, whatever, and they're saddled with the student loan debt that's going to be hanging around for quite a few years. If they utilize credit cards and go out of college with not only your student loan debt, but also credit card debt, it's just like putting them 10 steps behind the start line at life.
No doubt about it. Sometimes those kids move back home temporarily.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. But I think if that does happen, the best thing to do is make them responsible for some sort of bills on a regular basis so they start to understand that. There's a lot of ways kids that grow up and don't see where all the money comes from, there's a lot of ways they can save money if they just put their thinking caps on. I know a family that one year decided to not order any soft drinks or any iced tea or anything. When they went out to eat as a family, they all drank water. and it saved them over $4,000 in any given year. So you got to think about things like that. But a lot of times, you guys, you're born with it. I think a lot of times you're either born a spender or born a saver. I know I've got two in my household, and one of them's a saver and one of them's a spender.
Who's who?
Freddie Ann's a spender, and Christian's a saver.
Okay.
Well, and a lot of times too, we raise our kids to manage money the way we did, you know. And in our household, I know that our kids see us as spenders. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We live large. We go out to dinner more often than we should, and so we're not doing them any favors setting them up like that. So it's going to be an interesting road to see if he goes the same direction or if learns from it and becomes a conservative kid.
Yeah, I think so. I think so many times, Clark, that a lot of times also, you know, people don't even look at their credit card statements on a monthly basis. They don't look to see if they're accurate. They don't look to see what those minimum payments are. They don't look to see the amount of, most importantly, they don't look and see what the amount of interest that they're paying on a monthly basis is at all.
Right.
Could you tell us what your credit card interest rates are across the board? Are you aware of all that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
But I don't have many credit cards, so that's real easy.
I only have 2.
Yeah.
Well, then you should know what those rates are.
And I don't pay it. I pay off my credit cards. If I charge on them, I pay off my interest rate, my credit cards every single month.
Right.
But here's the key. If you have good credit, you should be out there shopping your credit card companies and asking them to lower your rates, because what happens is people get into financial disaster, or they pay interest, or 1 month they can't pay it off, or several months, and they're charged at these high interest rates. When you have great credit, that's the time to shop around and get the lower percentage credit cards. Maybe it's a 7.9, just so you're setting yourself up for down the road if that what if scenario comes out and you can't pay it off.
Is there any benefit that I've had my credit card since I was 18 with the same company? Is there any benefit with sticking with that credit card, or do I transfer it now if I want a lower rate?
That's up to them.
Yeah, I would say, Clark, wouldn't you say to transfer it?
I'd say if you transfer, you might get a little nice surprise, and they might call you up and offer you a lower rate.
Yeah, or tell them.
Leaving
or call and ask first. You know, if you call and ask and say, look, I've been a member, I've used this card since I was 18 years old, which has been 10 years now? So 10 years, and I'm shopping around, I'm thinking about using a different credit card. Can you offer me a lower interest rate? And they may do it. If not, walk.
Okay.
Yeah. Clark.
I don't know if I'm right, Ronnie. You know more about this than I do, but one of the things I do is occasionally I'll pull out a credit card to spend on it, just so I'm thinking of my credit score. But I'll purchase something, but then I'll go back home and immediately send over half of what I purchased, so it's in there before the 30 days. And I think that helps your score. I think when you can bring down a balance more than 50% in any one given month, I think they like that.
Yeah, you'll have a better score if you have zero credit card debt. So going out and doing that to keep your account inactive, because after a while, if you don't use an account for several years, it can go inactive. We don't see that quite as much as it used to be. But like Clark said, what I would do is go out and charge something on your credit card for a month and then pay it off right away.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to pay interest on that money, so don't worry about any of that.
Clark, that was really annoying that you are so financially responsible and you go home and you transfer the money. We don't do that in civilian life, so I honor that, and I think that's really great. That's not my case.
We're envious.
It's nice to be able to do it so easily from the phone or from the iPad, I think. So usually I get stuff done like that early in the morning when everyone's asleep.
Yeah, you want to wake up call here, ladies and gentlemen. Go onto your credit card statements one time. Grab every one of them and write down how much interest you're paying on that credit card every single month, and then just write down how much interest and tally it all up.
I'm going to bring it in tomorrow for you.
Okay.
You have homework.
I'm going to take a financial afternoon off, kind of.
Homework.
Thank you.
Clark Hodges is our financial expert. He's a financial strategist. Clark, where does everybody find you?
HodgesCapital.com or 214-954-1177, and Noel can get you to me.
All right. Thanks, Clark.
Let me ask you, Clark. I have to ask you about Freddie Ann. How is she?
She was great. We went and visited college
know.
yesterday, and she really liked it. University of Auburn in Alabama. It was a wonderful visit. We had a great time. And now she's on spring break this week, and she's in Cancun this morning. She went this morning with some friends to Cancun. So my little girl's growing up fast.
Well, we'll tell her we said hi, and thank you for being on the show today.